All right, guys, we were back again. COVID Cabal, Labor Day special, short COVID Cabal. Short COVID Cabal. I apologize for the delay. It's actually technical difficulties. Totally honest. It's one of those things where like the camera doesn't show up. You got to restart your computer. You're like, what's going on? But we're here. We're here for the COVID Cabal. We're rolling. If you are here, as usual, drop a comment in the chat. If you are here, drop a comment in the chat. If you are watching COVID Cabal, drop a comment in the chat. I want to see those comments. Right now, we got Uncle Guns in here. Like, comment, subscribe. Who else do we got here? Drop a comment. Let's go. Let's go. Nice weather there, Pat. It is nice weather. It is actually like ridiculously nice weather. It looks like it's like 2 weeks straight of just perfect weather. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, COVID Cabal. If you're here, drop a comment in the chat. Drop a comment in the chat. Let's fucking go. Let's go. What's up, Steve? Let's go. Let's go, AG. Let's go. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right. So we got stuff happening here. We got a wine, too. It's Labor Day. We're having fun. We are having fun. Autumn Vino. This is a Jurançon Sec. Okay, Jurançon. I don't know if you guys know Jurançon. Jurançon is the very, very southwest corner of France, right on the border with Basque Country in Spain. And actually, it technically is Basque Country. I'm gonna show you guys the bottle again. Jurançon Sec. This is a small producer. You will not be able to find this bottle. It is I'll be surprised if you can find it. It's one of those very, very old producers that's now been bought and only goes through I think it goes through Lathwaites. I'm pretty sure Lathwaites has it as like a special selection, right? So Labor Day is where it was the traditional day for people to have off who were laborers back when most people actually did heavy lifting for their jobs. So I was thinking my wife was going to give birth during Labor Day, but apparently she gave birth earlier. You get it? Do you guys get it? Do you guys get it? All right. So this is Jurançon Sec. So this is the very small, like far southwestern corner of France. It's predominantly a Basque population. It's in the Pyrenees Mountains. But the Basque population, we always think of the Basques as being in Spain because most of them are, but not all of them. A little bit got cut off with the borders. So a few of them are in France, and that's this area. So the grape is Gros Mansang. Gros Mansang, right? Not a varietal you've heard of before. I guarantee it. But this is a very, very beautiful wine. Super beautiful. It's like apples in like this bright, I don't know how to describe the cream. I'm trying to figure out how I can depict this for you guys, but really this is like an accent that you get. It's a little, I guess it's like malolactic fermentation. So there's a little bit of malolactic fermentation. Malolactic, by the way, for you guys who remember from way back when, malic acid is the acid that predominantly is in like an apples and pears. So it has a similar profile as apples and pears, but there's a way that you can convert malic acid into lactic acid, right? It's just chemistry, basically. If you have the right, if you allow it to develop in a certain way, it will start to turn there, and you actually get the creaminess that you would get from milk. So remember, I was like, it's like a creamy apple. It's very appley, but it has a good malolactic on it. Well-structured malolactic fermentation is a really good tell of high quality wine. I would say that this wine, it's, to me, it's a quality level of like a, low to mid end Burgundy, which is a very high compliment. Like really good stuff. Love it. Stole it from my dad. He doesn't know I took it. He only had 2 bottles left. I took it from him. Because I wanted it for COVID Cabal. And you know what they say, guys. It's better sometimes to just you know, apologize later. Ask for forgiveness. Don't ask for permission. Ask for forgiveness. Okay? You know, don't just take what you want. Just take what you want, okay? Don't even ask for it. No, you guys, I'm not an antisocial behavior person, but I this is a good one. So, all right. Let's get into it. All right, so there's a lot of little things. This is going to be scattershot. There's not like a big thing that's happened so much, but there's a lot of momentum. We got Bolton. It's out that Bolton is going to be arrested, which we expected, but it's happening, guys. It's happening. I'm going to tell you guys how much it's happening. Look at this. Look at this stuff. Look at this stuff. Okay? Am I a Q-tard? If I'm a Q-tard, but President Trump's a Q-tard, then maybe I'm right. It's kind of funny because I don't look at any of the Q, like I don't follow any Q posts. I've never gone through like a full reconciling of all the Q posts. I just follow some of the Q people. I mean, guys, what are you supposed to say? What are you supposed to say to this stuff? How many times does Trump have to post the Q things? It's either that there's only the only thing you can say at this point against Q. The only thing you can say is that Trump is just like using it as a troll. That's all you can say. He's just trolling the left with it. That it's not really just trolling the left. That would make sense if all the other stuff that Q was talking about wasn't actually happening, because it is happening. It is happening. So the world will soon understand nothing can stop what's coming. The world will soon understand that I should have had my fucking bets honored in 2020. That's what they're going to understand. They're going to understand that I should have got that money. That's what they're going to understand. But I think we can be very excited. And this is something I want to just like jump off to, little rant, just a tiny little rant. But it's just like doomer stuff, right? Just like really so tired of doomers. It's like people cannot accept winning. They can't accept it. They can't accept winning. They can't accept agency. And, you know, this is another thing, like, okay, this is, you know, this is CABAL show, right? But I obviously work with men. And one of the big issues that men have in general is that they have this lack of belief. They have lack of belief in themselves. They have a lack of belief that things can change. And it's so toxic. It's like, you see this, the thing is, we've already reached a great turning point. There is no going back. What the fuck does that even mean? There's no going back. There's literally nothing that can be done to fix society. I mean, you don't think for a second that we can't, you know, fix the economy? You don't think for a second that we can't remigrate people who hate our country and don't work and just parasite? You don't think we can do that for people who are unassimilated and incompatible with? We don't think we can do it? Like, look at this for a second. Look at this. When we become the majority, we will take over Germany by force. German laws will be replaced by Sharia law. If anyone stands against us, we will attack us. You're a fucking retard. You're stupid. You're like, why would you say this to people when they have all the power and the tide is like, that's how dumb these people are. That's how dumb they are. Like, guys see this. Like, doomers see that kind of stuff and they're like, it's hopeless. We can't do anything. Are you just going to let them kill you? Is that what you're going to do? You're just going to let them kill you? Yeah, I can't do anything about it, you know? They're here, can't do a thing. They're just going to, you know, have all those kids, and I just have to sit here and I have to let them take over my country, and I have to let them, you know, force convert me and rape everybody. You know, like, I don't understand, why are people so helpless? Do you understand how much we're winning right now? We are winning so much. We are really winning so much that we are in like the end stages of this chapter. Okay? We're in the end stages of this epoch. I'm not saying that we don't have a lot of chaos ahead. I'm not saying we don't have a lot of work ahead. I'm not saying the dramas are over. We're going to have a COVID cabal in the future talking about 2030. Mike Cernovich was having some cool stuff the other day. He was talking about 2030, what the elites have planned for it. The only thing I'll say is that I don't think a lot of the elites who had 2030 in mind are going to be able to have their plan completed. But as we've talked about it, those of you guys who know season 1, right? Remember, we're always on the lookout for these, like, you know, double layered plans, right? Is there like a cabal behind the cabal, right? Are we seeing the collapse of the first beast system, but the second beast is coming? Is the Antichrist coming? You know, the Jews are sacrificing a red heifer. Are they going to build, you know, are they going to build the third temple? Another little interesting side quest that Tom Luongo and Alex Craner were talking about is Istanbul becoming Constantinople again. Now, this is interesting to me because anybody who studies great power politics knows the political agendas of countries going back centuries. Russia considers itself to be the third Rome. Okay, this sort of like idea of trying to pull back, re-reference Rome. Okay, like I'm the new Rome. This is something that pretty much every European country has done at one point or another. I mean, the British Empire, I think, was probably the, you know, British and then American, the Anglo-American Empire, probably the real closest, like, connector to Rome from like a material military power standpoint. But, you know, Napoleon referenced it. You know, he had his divisions had eagles to reference the legions, right? So did Hitler, right? Nazi Germany. Although you could argue that the Germans were more influenced by the Greeks and the Romans, but we're getting to details here. But from a religious perspective, the Russians have considered themselves to be the inheritors of Rome. Russia's never claimed to be the inheritor of Rome from a dominance standpoint, military standpoint, but they have taken the religious aspect of it. It went first from Rome, and then it went to Constantinople, and then it went to Moscow, right? So they are the ones, because they are the Orthodox Church. They have inherited the church. And both for these, you know, significant religious reasons, but also geostrategic reasons, in terms of control over the Straits of Marmara, right? The Sea of Marmara, the Straits of Gibraltar, not Straits of Gibraltar, the Bosporus, right? The Bosporus and the Dardanelles Straits, the Sea of Marmara, that whole area, that they have wanted to control the West Bank, at least, so that they would have control over the Straits. It's a big geopolitical risk for Russia. It's always been a geopolitical risk for Russia to be boxed into the Black Sea, right? So anyway, so there's been some very interesting stuff that there are some plans afoot to actually have Russia, or at least the Orthodox, somehow retake that area. Now, this stuff, to me, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I want to believe this stuff. This is like me playing some video game. It's like me playing some strategy game. I'm like, fuck yeah. Yeah, the Greeks and the Russians are going to take back Constantinople. It's like if I'm playing Hearts of Iron 4, right? I'm playing Hearts of Iron 4. I overthrow Stalin and I reinstall the Tsar. And one of like the side quests in the tech tree, it's going to go and take back Constantinople. So I'm all about this stuff. You know, I want to believe it. I have to be honest. It sounds a little fucking Looney Tunes. I got to be honest about this. I'm not disregarding it, because I understand that there are genuine geostrategic things. Okay. And it has never ceased to be a geostrategic objective for these countries. And I also think there is something to be said for the fact that Turkey has stepped into a massive power vacuum in Syria, which they cannot control. So you have Israel and Turkey now kind of at each other's throats in Syria. Syria's economy is unable to sustain a military presence. Turkey's economy, rather, is unable to sustain a military presence in Syria. And then we go back And we see it is kind of interesting that Assad had this very well-developed army. They were winning the war by all fronts. The war had they basically had most of the territory, certain areas cordoned off, and then all of a sudden, it's like everything just fell apart. All of a sudden, it was like Syria's army just collapsed, and this was everyone initially thought like Russia just got screwed, but then we find out that Russia's base is totally fine. Nothing happened to it. It was completely secured, which indicates that there was some backroom deal that had been made. Now, the impression was that Russia had been outmaneuvered or felt like they couldn't sustain that front. But now there's some interesting insinuations that maybe most of the Syrian Arab army, Assad's army, has really just been sort of put to the side, has kind of disappeared into Iraq, disappeared into Iran, may end up being activated in some guerrilla action or whatever against Turkey. And I don't know. Again, like I said, to me, some of these things can get a little bit reachy. But at the same time, what is happening? We have Turkey boosting their presence dramatically in Cyprus. We have Greece military spending going through the roof. And we have Turkey overextended in Syria because Erdogan wants to recreate the Ottoman Empire. So I don't know. Maybe it'll happen. I don't know what you're going to do with the Turkish population there. I will tell you this. Istanbul is a very different cultural city. It's a different city than the rest of Turkey. It is a much more European city. It was a very secular city. Not entirely, right? But if you go to Anatolia, like central Turkey, Ankara, very, very Muslim, very conservative. Istanbul traditionally is not so much that. And there's also a big Muslim, I always get this word, I always pronounce this word wrong. Eschatology, right? About how the second coming of Christ is going to happen. I know the Muslims believe that, by the way. The second coming of Christ will happen when the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul will be returned to Orthodoxy. So, okay, this is like this. So this gets into all sorts of things. Like, is this also part of some end times script that they're playing out? I don't know what's happening, but I want to tell you guys that just because of some interesting stuff. It's very digressive. I shouldn't have led with it, guys. I got carried away. The Jurançon wine was making me very excited. I was really excited about Constantinople becoming the new seat of Orthodox power and to have, this reunited, just to have a really great looking map. Okay. I'm all about the maps, but that, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, but we do have some big things happening. And I think I really have to, I'll just touch on this. England is awakening. I'm actually really impressed. I didn't think that England was going to be such a fast country to jump up compared to other countries in the West, but it looks like the English working class have not disappointed. And we are now in a situation where the British government is basically really going rough on people because they're flying the English flag. I mean, in Epping, right? In Epping, we had this big scandal. The government puts all these migrants in. The migrants rape local girls. The township says, we don't want these migrants here anymore. We don't want to use this building for it. The council votes in favor of getting rid of the migrants. The government fights it. The government takes them to court, and the government wins the appeal. The court's verdict is basically that the rights of Britons matter less than the rights of migrants. And you're seeing this all over the place, right? Keir Starmer talking about compensating people who are offended by seeing the British flag. I mean, this stuff is like, it's just fucking Looney Tunes hour. It's Looney Tunes stuff. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But you can see from what Elon Musk is doing that the US government is definitely involved in trying to push, and Elon's particular involvement in Advance UK after, concerns about reform kind of being limp-wristed, right? Nigel Farage being captured. Advance UK is backed by Elon Musk. You have Tommy Robinson, you have Rupert Lowe, and they are working together and they're gaining, right? the bottom line is this. This is the point. The point is that a lot of things are happening on the ground in the UK. We're going to see what happens September 13th when there's the big protest. But I think that, you know, I actually unfollowed him for this because I haven't really, I started following him a little bit because Tom Longo interviewed him, EM Burlingham. It's no disrespect to him. I'm sure he's a good dude, but I haven't really liked this. I don't really like his takes. I was expecting like better because of how Tom Luongo was talking about him. Just not really, you know, he was saying some stuff about Tommy Robinson that I thought was really like stupid and kind of strange. Like how Tommy Robinson is like an intel asset, and he was saying this because Tommy Robinson was telling people to show up on the 13th and be peaceful. So I'm thinking to myself, like, why would you why oh, so he's supposed to go tell people take up arms and fight? Like, that's a great way to have the government totally, like, completely weaponized against you. And what I mean is that they're already weaponized against the population, but it gives the government an excuse to escalate. I am so relieved, and I have earned my relief, as you guys know, under Biden, because this was what we were fearing in America, right? This suffering under this threat of what are we going to do with this government? Because is it going to get kinetic? Is it going to get violent? I have never wanted that to happen. I always have believed in the power of mass protests and demonstrations being able to break government power, people being willing to get arrested. If enough people show up with enough willingness, they can break it, especially if the government's checkmated against using too much force like they are now in the UK. But I'm not opposed to people taking up arms against the government. But I think from an optics and moral argument standpoint, it's better to make the government have to fire those first shots. You know, in American, like when America seceded from the United Kingdom, 1775, when everything started, I'm saying 1775 deliberately, right? Because the Lexington Concord was in the spring of 75. Declaration came a year later, after we were already at war with the UK. What's my point in saying this? Now, we don't know still to this day who started the war. It's called the shot heard round the world. The Americans thought the British fired on them, but we don't know that. We don't know what happened. All we know is that someone fired, which is, you know, you could get conspiratorial, but frankly, tense situation, armed standoff. Shooting started, then everything, you know, but America mythologized it in the sense that Britain attacked because the Americans suffered the most in the exchange, right? Britain killed American colonists, American militia, and that gave America the moral argument to actually begin the war. So I know people, you know, so when E.M. Burlingham's saying like they need to get violent, they need, you know, which is basically what he's insinuating. It's like, look, man, that'll happen. Maybe it'll happen. But remember that first off, the Brits are disarmed. So, you know, and they may have been arming the Islamists. We don't know the depths of the depravity of the British government. The only thing the Brits have is the fact that maybe the military will flip. And of course, they have the United States, which is huge. But the point I'm trying to make here is that there is no sense whatsoever for someone like Tommy Robinson, who, by the way, spent years in prison in solitary confinement. We're still going to call him a Fed. I want to see better evidence of this kind of stuff, because somebody who has been through a lot and understands that you walk a very fine line and you don't want to give the government any leeway to do things that will screw up your entire operation. Everything that Tommy Robinson, Rupert Lowe, you know, all these people are organizing these protests, this stuff is huge. It's huge. You have tons of Brits coming out and supporting it. It's actually unifying the old grudges between Ireland and England and Scotland and Wales, Northern Ireland. Everybody's kind of coming together with this, right? They're all coming together with it. So you want to screw that up by being like, yeah, we're going to start killing, you know, like, I don't even know what this guy's doing. I think he's clowning off. I don't think that he's like, I just think he's clowning off. I think he's just, he is operating from a not very grounded standpoint, or whatever. So I unfollowed. Look at that drama. Just gave you guys some drama, but big things are happening, and Elon Musk is pushing this big time. They cannot control it. They have no ability to control what's coming. So I have two more things I really want to share with you guys. I also want to share with you guys this meme, because this meme's close to home. This is not directly related to anything we're talking about today, but it is directly related to everything we've talked about these last few months, right? Remember, I've always said, like, I think it's good people chimp, but, I'm a plan truster, but I think it's good people chimp, because it gives Trump the credibility to be able to do things. And this is like so brilliant, right? This is the equivalent of Schrodinger's cat, right? Particle wave theory. It's the two things. Doesn't matter which way it goes. The same thing happens at the end. We're winning both. It is. It's exactly like, I've never seen something so amazing. I haven't seen something so amazing in a long time. The illusion of free choice. Are you chimping or are you plan trusting? And, a lot of people, we get among the winning cohort, the winners, not the doomers, the winners. The bloomers, I'll call them. Not the doomers, the bloomers. We're blooming here, right? There's sometimes a divide. You got to chimp out. No, you got to trust the plan. Everybody's always right. At the end of the day, you chimped out, you feel like you won. You trusted the plan, you feel like you won. That's what we're doing here. We're winning every day. All right, I'm going to answer some questions if you want to throw some questions in here, guys. I'm going to finish my other 2 points, though. I'm finishing this COVID cabal with the VAX stuff, by the way. I haven't forgotten about it. I titled it about the VAX. That's the last thing we're going to talk about. What do you think of the likely overturning of the 3 centers of power, London, Vatican, DC? Yeah, I mean, I think London is the epicenter at this point. I mean, I know that's been like those are the places of the global cabal, but this is basically how it's been, right? These are the three main power centers, and DC has clearly been cut off. Now, I'm not sure about the Vatican, probably not. I'm not sure about it, to be honest, but there's no question that Trump is taking control of DC, and London, I think, London's being, I'm going to say this. I really believe that Trump is going to pull Ireland and the Commonwealth, if not explicitly into America, into some sort of EU-like merger with him. To understand a lot of what Trump is doing, I'm going to say this. I think this is important, because people talk about how, like, America's controlled by Israel or America's controlled by Britain. And the response is that we should just break off these alliances. We should go our own way, right? From the principle standpoint, this stuff seems really good. This is what we'd want to do, right? From a principled standpoint. From a practical standpoint, first off, it's hard because you have so much embedded stuff between the Five Eyes, between Israel and America. There's so much embedded intelligence and military infrastructure there. So we want to just sever it all and go. A lot of people want to go, our own way. Trump is doing things that people don't always understand, but what he's really doing is he's taking all of these other groups, Britain, Israel, right? We're kind of part of the same, say, the globalist banking operation, whatever, who are controlling America, using America as like the sort of muscle for the world, rather than cut ties and, expose these countries and go direct against them. What he's doing is he's doing it behind the scenes. He's sort of like using it's like a jujitsu move, right? all of the energy and the ties that these countries use to control America, he's flipping it. And that's why I think a lot of people don't understand what Trump has been doing with Israel in particular, right? You have all this stuff about how, Trump just said today, he's like, Israel's amazing. He's like, Israel controlled all of Congress. They don't anymore. And it's like the way that Trump says things is so funny, but I've said this for a long time. You guys who've been watching this season know I've been saying this for a long time against like the Fuentes group and everything, that Trump is not controlled by Israel. Trump is controlling Israel now. But because of the nature of this frenemies dynamic, what he's doing is he's pulling the power to America to control Israel. That doesn't mean severing the alliance, but it does mean severing the control. Who's controlling who is the real question here. And there's no question that there's jostling about who's going to control the other. But they're like two friends who are, it's like when Trump has the handshake and two people are trying to, break each other's hand, right? That's what's going on with all of our allies. That's where the real fight is. It's not with the enemies. Our allies want us to fight Russia, but what we're doing is we're saying, yeah, we're best friends. We're best fucking friends, aren't we? And we're breaking their wrists and we're making them serve us. And that's why Trump has gained all these deals from these other countries and all the money's coming back to America. EU deal, trade deal with the UK. That's what he's doing. People don't like it because it's not like superficially clean. But if you're someone like Trump who knows exactly where to hit people's pain points, knows exactly where leverage is because he's a master negotiator, he just sees, okay, we have all these allies have been taken from us. Rather than just go our own way, why not take advantage of them? Why not get it all coming to us for once? And we can use that to prep America for any kind of global issues that occur so that America is the destination, the least dirty shirt in the laundry, proverbially speaking. So as usual, Trump is brilliant. And I don't know if I have this here. I'm going to show this real quick. I've said that what Mike Davis said before. It doesn't matter. I don't have the kind of audience that Mike has. And neither of us have been the first people to say it. But yeah, Trump is clearly in the Washington Lincoln League. I mean, you can see it, to be fair, at every single, 80 to 90 year turning, every great fourth turning, you see the same thing, which is that, at every single great turning, you have some president who redefines the country. So you had Washington, right, who started it. You had Lincoln. Then you had FDR. Now, we don't have FDR in this group because FDR destroyed the fucking country. FDR was a piece of shit, but you can't dispute his power and impact, right? That range from Wilson, starting with Woodrow Wilson, but FDR completely transformed the United States. What happened to the United States in the 1930s completely changed the United States. Trump is the next iteration, and he's reversing FDR, restoring the republic, but not everything. He's actually looks like he's moving into much more of a, Madisonian, Hamiltonian kind of way of doing things, where the federal government is very energetic, but it is in support of the population, right? The point is this. I said in that tweet, I said that Trump will exceed them because he's liberating the world, not just America, and that's totally correct. Trump is, I think, when you live through history, it's one of those things. I got to tell you guys, I really hope and pray that what happens in the next year, apparently this week we start the new J6 commission. I hear issues with it. It's not perfect. But for me personally, as a J6er, that to me enough. I'm so glad I had that. I have that because that's a badge of honor that my children and my children's children and my great grandchildren will have. They will have that badge of honor too. But I would love to meet Trump. I would love it. I would love to get his, autograph. I'd love to shake his hand, a photo of me shaking his hand. And I know that sounds maybe like kind of cheesy. Maybe it sounds kind of, but I would really love that. To me, that would mean so much because this man God bless him, and I hope he's got at least 20 more years in him. But he is the greatest man that we have seen in centuries. I mean, really, he is somebody who will easily be ranked as one of the greatest people who ever lived. He'll be up there with like Augustus, right? That's what he's going to be up there with. I'm telling you, because of the significance of what he did. Because the aftermath of Trump and how he will have corrected the world will allow this planet to go into space. We'll become a multiplanetary civilization. We won't become this sort of like rotting dystopian shithole. Everybody will understand that it was because of Trump that trajectory didn't happen. So when you think about it from the future of a civilization that lives in the stars, Trump is the person who facilitated this to happen. He's not going to be the one who takes us to the stars, but everyone will know that he's the reason we got there. And what an incredible thing. There's going to be stuff dedicated to him across the Western world. But I really think that across the entire world, because, look, I really want to make this point. I want to make this point because I'm protective of my homeland. I'm protective of European homelands. My ancestors come from a number of countries in Europe. England, the Stedmans are English. They come from Kent. I have other lineage from Ireland and Scotland, right? So the British Isles are half of my, 3/4 really of my genealogy right there. So the reason it's so important that we protect and preserve these countries is because these are places, once it's gone, it's gone. You have no, it's like an endangered species, right? We talked about this before. I won't repeat it. But what I want to say is that for the world to work together and get along, you can't have these fuckers who are just trying to like spill everybody over each other's borders. You can't have these colonialists, these imperialists who, wanted before Europeans to dominate all sorts of other groups, and then we'll have those other groups come and dominate the European. You can't have that. You can't have a world that operates on that. There's too much of a bleed through. And so by actually setting the movement towards this like much more clarity of nation and border, we can actually get along. We can actually work together, and we can actually stop like hating each other. I don't want to hate other people. I just, nobody wants to be taken advantage of. No one wants to feel like their own history and their own, lineage doesn't matter. That's what this is all about. And so, we're not going to get to the stars if the planet can't work together in some capacity. It's not going to work together in some capacity unless there is this mutual respect, and I'm going to say this. Muslims don't like these people either. These little vandals, not vandals, that's not even a fair word to say. Because these people don't even work. It's not like they came to the country, they're taking it over. Like, I at least respect, other groups that come to countries like Chinese, Indians, whatever, Indian immigrants. A lot of them, by the way, really came to Western countries with good intent. There's been a big slew recently who've been brought in with different kind of objectives, but I have to say that because I've seen it firsthand. I feel bad for a lot of Indian and Chinese migrants because of what's happening, because they were literally just doing good things. And they loved the countries they came to. They were super supportive. They were conservative even. And then you got these people, they bring in, all these countrymen that they don't really even care about. They don't want anything to do with. And then they get labeled, but this is the whole mess, right? But point is this, right? Muslims across the Middle East don't like these migrants. They don't like them. They would kill them. They would execute these people for the kind of stuff they've been doing in Western countries. And that's the thing. Like, You don't have good relationships with people if you don't have good boundaries. It's the way it is with dating, relationships, all this stuff. All right. So let's close this out. I spent this entire video, I labeled it VAX Facts coming out, right? That's what I said. I'm just going to say this real quick. IMO, by virtue of his audacity and boldness of behavior and leadership, it is absolutely impossible for Donald J. Trump to be middle of the pack. He's either hated or loved, zero in between. Absolutely. But look, I talked about this. This is my title. It was about the VAX stuff. I'm just gonna end with this. Okay, it is very important the drug companies justify the success of their various COVID drugs. Many people think they are a miracle that saved millions of lives. Others disagree. With CDC being ripped apart over this question, I want the answer and I want it now. I have been shown information from Pfizer and others that is extraordinary, but they never seem to show those results to the public. Why not? They go off on the next hunt and let everybody rip themselves apart, including Bobby Kennedy Jr. and CDC, trying to figure out the success or failure of the drug companies' COVID work. They show me great numbers and results, but they don't seem to be showing them to many others. I want them to show them now to CDC and the public and clear up this mess one way or the other. I hope Operation Warp Speed was as brilliant as they say it was. If not, we all want to know about it. And why? Thank you for your attention to this very important matter, President Trump. Guys, we said it for a long time. Trump was deceived about the vaccine. And this is actually like a negative point to some of the Q posters, not necessarily Q itself, but that Trump was in the know about all this stuff. He didn't. It's very clear that Trump has not been in the know about a lot of things. Very clear. You know, I've talked before about this country singer who said himself, like, you know, that he told Trump, like, Trump asked him why they were booing him at rallies, and he said because people are, when he mentioned the vaccine, and he was saying like people have been dying from the vaccine in those crowds. They know people who've been dying from the vaccine. They don't, like, that's why they're booing you when you say that. He didn't know. No one told him. If you study history, whether you study, like, you know, great men, very powerful men who you know, were very scary to deal with. Hitler, Napoleon, right? Men who had this massive command of power and influence. You know, people don't want to tell them the truth sometimes. So it's not surprising. I mean, Trump was obviously deceived in the vaccine. It's coming around to it. This is a setup right here, and I'm gonna end with this. Trump had put that tweet out there. We know that Kennedy is doing a big review in September with new guidelines. And we also know that all of a sudden, Schumer, Sanders, all these Democratic politicians are freaking out. There's a big movement from Big Pharma to try to remove Kennedy right now. We know, I'm just going to tell you guys, it's coming out. We've known the vax stuff would eventually come out. And I've seen some crazy things. Like, I try not to focus too much on it because I also don't like to make people feel like crap. But, you know, like, we all know that the data is very bad. You know, you can argue within degrees about how bad, but, you know, children of people who got vaccinated, just the children of people who got vaccinated with the COVID vaccine, not even the children themselves, 25% higher mortality rate. Sorry, 75% higher mortality rate. That's apparently like a 24 sigma difference. Enormous statistical variance, right? So they really did some stuff, and it's coming out, and God help them. God help them, because when people find out, that stuff really breaks out. And guys, it's coming. February 2026. It's coming. We're going to see a lot of those mass arrests we're looking for. I'm still sticking to my, remember I told you guys earlier this year, we're going to see most of the heavy lifting done by July 2026. I'm not saying it's all going to be done by then, but I think we're going to, as we go most of 2026 in America is going to be like just dealing with the process of these people being prosecuted and all the truth coming out. I think most of the arrests are going to happen in the spring next year. I think so. You know, maybe those arrests will happen, you know, what is it, 6 years later from 2020, we thought. March 2026. We'll see. But look, guys, I love you all. I love you all. Thank you for joining me on another COVID Cabal, and I hope you have a great Labor Day. Hope you spend time with your family and your loved ones, and you I'll see you next time. You have a good week. Take care.